Working McDonald's, you see a lot of different human species. Working retail has crushed my will and has made me lose faith in humanity. Me too, lots of customers have no respect. Especially the older ones. I accidentally said consumer to a customer once, I was mortified. She smirked. A couple years ago I worked as a cashier for Walmart. Kid came through my till looked like a pubescent boy with early facial hair. I congratulated them on having their beard coming in. Turns out it was a girl. Yikes. Thanks for watching guys, see you tomorrow.
What are your worst college roommate horror stories? NSFW. I'd see him on campus wearing my clothes. One of our roommates opened the phone bill to see a $4,700 bill. Other roommate was pocketing our money and not paying the bill. When confronted he said it was our fault because we were being hostile with him when we confronted him. Roommate started selling sugar out of the dorm room. Halfway through the first semester my laptop went missing. Ironically found it on eBay within 10 minutes with him as the seller. Called the cops when I got him get kicked out. Fun stuff. Had a roommate who literally never left the dorm room because he played World of Warcraft around the clock. He was so addicted that he had set up a fridge next to his desk and kept it stocked so he only had to leave his desk as few times as possible. But here is the worst part. To cut down on restroom trips, he would urinate into a container at his desk and empty it only when it became full. It was disgusting. He had a girl over and I was like, okay, whatever, this is college. I asked him not to make too much noise as I had an exam in the morning. So I went to bed. Woke up at 2 AM with a heavy-set black guy over my bed saying in over, I am your fairy black godmother. They thought it'd be funny to invite people over and duck with me. It's okay though. I looked at his girl, who he's been dating, and informed her of his current going long distance relationship and went back to bed. I had a roommate my first year in college who wanted to be my best friend. Before we met other people it was great and all. But because we had nothing in common, we grew apart. She started getting really passive aggressive and not talking to me when I came in the room. One night she woke me up at 3 AM and said we need to talk. She proceeded to explain how she signed up to have a best friend, not someone who just shared a room with her. She got angry when I didn't invite her to study with me in the library because I had my own work to do. And even when I wanted to go on a date with my boyfriend alone, she told me either I start doing everything with her or I move the duck out. I chose the latter. Freshman year is always the hardest. My first roommate came from a party family and wanted to continue the tradition at school. I would wake up to her ducking random dudes or loudly masturbating whilst drunk. She would sometimes throw up when orgasming. The worst part was, she cared about her fellow partiers. Every night when she went out, she would get smashed but would find people worse off than her. If they couldn't find their home or communicate, she'd drop them back at our tiny dorm room and go back to parties for another few hours if she came back at all. The bad part was my bed wasn't lofted originally. So every night I'd wake up to people getting into bed with me and have to put them to sleep elsewhere. The worst it ever was when she dropped off a pledge who had triple what he should have to drink and had dropped some Molly. He was all over the place and I was afraid to leave him to sleep. She didn't come back that night. All night was spent carrying this guy back and forth to the girls only restroom so he could try to sober up. He was pretty ducked up well into the next day. Eventually he was good to go home and I walked him to his dorm across campus. When I returned home, there was my roommate, furiously drunk, masturbating again. Why would you do that, Carol? ? I just wanted sleep. Edit. I'm glad my freshman year is funny for y'all. Let me answer a few questions. No. I haven't seen the pledge since. Yes. I eventually reported her and moved to a different dorm. No. I don't have her number. But I still see her around campus. No. She wasn't hot. Thanks y'all. My friend's roommate hides their salt. Just the salt. Every time he asks where the salt is, his roommate goes in his room and brings it out. My roommate said he didn't need to bathe because the chlorine at swim practice cleaned him. He would also play WoW real loud. I could hear every spell. Met her briefly on move-in day. Came back later to her puking in the trash can, floor, and in her bed. The room smelled really bad so I went to sleep in the lobby. Random guy saw me and offered me the unoccupied bed in his room. When he woke up he didn't remember any of this. Good times. Roommate was fresh off the boat from Korea. During the first few weeks of classes he met a Korean girl that lived on our floor. They bought a TV. Placed the TV on top of the box it came in, setting it about 2 feet from where I slept, and would lay together in bed watching Korean soap operas every night until 3 maybe 4 in the morning at full volume. My college roommate was an extremely quiet athlete who would go weeks without speaking to me. When she asked me one day if she could order some protein bars, I was confused by the question. Why would my weird quiet roommate need to ask me this? She failed to mention the quantity of protein bars she wanted. She ordered about 50 jumbo cases of protein bars and a similar amount of protein powder online one day. The boxes filled up the entire free floor area of our room for the rest of the year. I had a little pathway cleared so I could walk to my bed. Had a roommate freshman year who took a picture of my student ID so he could buy pizza when I wasn't on campus. Checked my transaction list one day and the kid charged $90 worth of pizza over about a month's period. Went to the campus police and they were able to tie it back to him. He got reassigned to another dorm room about 2 weeks later. When he moved out of our he took a bunch of my it with him. Clothes, duffel bags, 5-pound bag of protein, and the remote to TV. Don't know if he thought I wouldn't notice or just didn't give a duck. I go back to the police and they make him come into the station. He denied the whole thing but the idiot still had the remote in his pocket. Ended up getting all my money and it back but it was a pain in the ass. University of Arizona, Santa Cruz Hall. Fall of '72. Second or third week. Classes had started and there was some shuffling of people and I got moved down the hall. The dorm manager took me there, gave me my new key and introduced me to my new roommate, who I immediately got a weird vibe from, as he wouldn't say anything or look me in the eye. I put down my suitcases and left for a class. When I opened the door just a few hours later, my way was blocked by a butcher paper wall with 2 paper doors in it. The doors were hinged with tape, and only the left one was open. I could see my things through it, so I entered, and from there I could see that he had constructed a central wall of butcher paper, dividing the room floor to ceiling, giving us each half the window. The metal bunk bed had been moved to the center of the room and embedded in the paper wall, such that I could only get to the bottom bunk. He had the top. It was quite skillfully done. We each had complete privacy, there were no gaps anywhere, even on the floor. Though I admired his work, I didn't want half a room, or a crazy roommate. So I got the manager, who gave me another room. Even though my new room was just 2 doors away, I never saw the crazy guy again. Full stop. Lived with an info stripper. Moved into what had been a single up until spring semester. Roommate, never actually met him. Had cleared one entire side of the room and painted a gruesome and bloody crucifixion larger than life on the wall. Apparently that was to be my side of the room. I noped my stuff back out and never returned again. I had a roommate who thought it was funny to change my alarm clock setting from AM to PM at night. Then she'd gaslight me and tell me I must have set it wrong. Every time I would reset it and it would be fine the rest of the week, and come Monday it would be switched again. I finally caught her when I woke up one night while she was changing it. Ever since that year, I only use 24-hour time. Roommate decided to microwave a towel to put on his sore neck. He did not wet the towel prior, which caused it to catch on fire. He then started to freak out and threw the flaming towel across the room, landing onto our makeshift curtains, which were constructed of bed sheets and various clothing items. In a frantic adrenaline-fueled state, I proceeded to pull down and stomp out all burning textiles. His dumbass nearly caught our room and the whole goddamn building on fire. Oh god. I have 2. The first would come back drunk at like 3 AM on a weeknight, and just whip it out and start pissing on the floor. At first it was intermittent, but then it started to happen a few times a week. Then almost every day. I'd throw it at him if I woke up. He never even flinched. Eventually he just started passing out on his bed and pissing that instead. Thankfully I had the top bunk. The other guy was super Christian, to the extent that he didn't bring a computer to school. because it took away from his time with God. Well, after a while, my girlfriend found a bunch of websites in my history. Like, really sick it. I know it wasn't me visiting those sites. I started locking my computer every time I even went to the bathroom. Oh yeah. And bought a new keyboard and mouse. My roommate was really famous for Vines back when that was a new thing. You could tell that he was crazy, but he just kept setting the bar higher. He would take dumps completely naked with the stall door open. He would sit naked at his desk and occasionally adjust his balls. He would constantly do ridiculous things and record it for his Vines. He would get up in your face and scream random crap. You could hear him constantly making random honking noises and yelling things like "D" or "Cooch." But he definitely didn't afterwards. I would have to tell him to stop making ridiculous noises about 5 times before I could get to sleep. The rumor is that he raped his last roommate, but apparently the college didn't find enough evidence to kick him out and the criminal investigation isn't done yet. I'm just glad that I got out of there. I had a ditz of a female roommate. I'm a very quiet lady and we did not really agree on the type of people we hung out with. First week of college she got a job at Hooters. 4 weeks in. It was about 3 AM and she came in drunk and laid down on her bed. My bed was less than 2 feet away, only blocked by a chest-high bookshelf. Anyway, she broke up with her boyfriend the first week because she wanted to have new experiences. Honestly, I'm not trying to fault her for looking 6. She's more than welcome to explore her sexuality, but didn't appreciate it this way. She calls up her ex and talks to him, and they start having fun or sex. I'm way too awkward at this age and just try not to act like I was awake. She knew I was there. She even mentioned it to the ex. This went on for like 20 minutes. And I'm getting annoyed because I stupidly signed up for an 8 AM class. She finally orgasms. And then she starts crying. For a good half an hour. She's crying to this guy about how much she misses him. I felt kinda bad. And really tired. I was grumpy the next day. And weirded out that she thought that was okay with her roommate in the room. My roommate played Winger's Live album. This was 1990, for 5 straight days. 24/7. It has 5 songs on it. 5. And I hate hairbands. Not a college campus roommate, but I let one guy stay with me for a few months. Allowed him to bring his cat as long as he cleaned up after it. Long story short, kicked him out of my place for stealing and nearly wrecking my car. Checked his room and it was full of cat shit and he refused to clean it because it was unfair that I kicked him out. My roommate in college used my toothbrush to clean the toilet and then put it back. He didn't tell me. I went to use it later that night and there were brown pieces of it and toilet scum on it. When I asked what was up, he readily admitted to it and acted as if he did nothing wrong. He was also the guy that took food from any food shelf donation bin he could find because he was a poor college student. Edit for clarification, I didn't actually use the brush. I noticed the poo while picking it up. A good friend of mine had a roommate that loved to snoop, steal, and squeal during their freshman year. Snoop, my friend's bags would be unzipped, boxes opened, laptop opened, personal items moved, etc. Steal, my friend would hide her jewelry in bag, in a sock, in the back of a drawer. More than once she caught her roommate wearing her jewelry. Squeal, literally anything that was meant to be personal was spread throughout the floor within a day. Zero privacy was to be had. Thankfully, after numerous complaints and reports, they were split up after the first semester. My roommates were always great, but I had terrible suitemates just about every year. For those who don't know, a suite is just a cluster of 4-6 dorm rooms around a bathroom. Guys would piss all over the floor and toilet seat, leave a toilet full of it, puke on walls, doors, etc., and leave jizz on the wall of the shower. It's like whenever something came out of their body, they just left it where it landed and thought, duck it, someone else will clean it up. On the other end of that spectrum, freshman year I shared a bathroom with a guy who would lock everyone out of the bathroom for 2 hours every night so he could groom himself. He was incredibly neat, but would ignore you if you asked him to unlock the door so you could take a piss. During freshman year, my bedroom was right next to the bathroom. I lived with 3 other guys. Late one night, My gay roommate brought back another guy and thought that it was a good idea to use the bathroom rather than his own bedroom to have some fun. All the banging and thrusting was clearly audible in my room for a good 20 minutes. The following morning, when I went to use the bathroom, there was blood everywhere, on the toilet dispenser, shower curtain, wall, and floor. I was horrified. My imagination ran wild and I was entirely convinced that my roommate tore some guy's anus in our bathroom and didn't clean up after himself. I quickly called over my obviously culpable roommate and asked him to clean the bathroom. Without questioning me, he followed suit, cleaning every speck of blood in there. Fast forward a month later. All of us are shooting the it in our living room and I tell everyone the story. My guilty roommate didn't care. We're all pretty close. By the end of the story, our other roommate confessed to having had a terrible nosebleed that night and not cleaning it up. We died of laughter. Dear Anna, room 909 of 162. I don't give a duck if you love your family or whatever, but I don't want to come home after a long day to see your 60-year-old dad staring at me when I walked out the shower or when I ate. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night seeing your dad standing across my bed because I'm waiting for you to wake up. Because he wanted to talk cause I'm just being friendly. That it is ducking creepy. And you were ducking weird to keep asking your dad over and sleep on the same bed with you. You're 20. Have some common sense. Trash is to be taken out, not to stared at or sniffed. You are not a dog. Stop sniffing everything. Even my puppies don't sniff as much as you did. Now I'm not sure, but did you pee with your leg up or what? Cause I could see your pee everywhere in the bathroom. How? Exactly how? You're a girl. I know it already. So you didn't need to leave your period mark everywhere. Itch please. I don't need your I'm sorry yes. I needed you to listen and do it. Or stop doing it for that matter. And I will never live in the same room with anyone ever again.